No one has ever seen flies near Madam Sushi's fish. Not one. Her table at Okala Market stays fresh, full, and flawless, even when other sellers fight off swarms with brooms and smoke. Her fish? Big, silver, always clean. And no matter how much she sells, she never runs out. People whisper. Some say it's luck. Others say it's juju. But the truth is darker. Madam Sushi wasn't always like this. There was a time her house echoed with silence. A time she cried beside a river, with nothing left but sorrow. Until a woman with eyes like water offered her a gift. A gift that came with one rule. Let no man touch you, not in love, not in longing, or your skin will betray you. And Sushi? She kept her word. Until someone made her smile again. It was a Saturday morning, and Okala Market was already full of life. The air smelled of fresh vegetables, pepper, and raw fish. Women shouted prices, children ran between stalls, and the sun had barely touched the top of the sky. But among all the noise, one place stood out. Madam Sushi's fish point. The queue stretched longer than any other stall. Her fish was always fresh, clean, and strangely, untouched by flies. No matter the heat or smell from other sellers' tables, no single fly hovered around Madam Sushi's fish. People joked about it, but they still came in numbers. "Give me that one I'm pointing at," one woman shouted, stretching her finger urgently. Another customer raised her voice. "Please, I came here before her." "Madam, attend to me now before they pick all the big ones and leave the small fish for me," a third woman said, her hands on her waist. Behind the crowd, other fish sellers murmured. Their whispers were sharp with jealousy. "She must be using something," one of them said. "She washes her fish with charm, I swear," another added. "She's not even that friendly, but see the crowd," said Mom Uka, one of the oldest sellers on the row. But Madam Sushi never replied them. She just kept her face straight and her hands busy. She was not the loudest. She didn't beg customers. She didn't argue. Yet everyone wanted her fish. Inside her heart, she told herself again, if only they knew. If only they knew what I gave up for this life. Her skin always looked fresh, even in the sun. And her eyes? They held something deep, like the bottom of a river. It hadn't always been like this. Before she became Madam Sushi, the queen of fish at Okala Market, she was just Sushi Nwaka, a young girl from Obun village. At 16, her uncle gave her out in marriage to a much older man. She didn't understand much then, only that she had to cook, clean, and give children. And she did, all with patience. Her husband wasn't wicked, just tired from life. He worked hard. She supported him. Life was not soft, but it was manageable. Then one rainy morning, he left for work on a truck delivery and never came back. A trailer crushed his vehicle on the old bend near a Bijo River. She didn't even get to bury him. They only brought home his boots and wallet. Her only child, her daughter Amaka, became her reason to breathe. Sushi poured every part of her soul into the girl. Amaka was 10, bright-eyed, sharp, and full of questions. Then the poison came. It was from a sachet juice Amaka bought after school. A careless mixture. Others survived. Amaka didn't. And that was the day something inside Sushi died too. Weeks passed. People came and went. Some offered prayers, others gave advice. But the pain sat like a stone in her chest. Then came the day she walked to the riverbank, where fishermen exported goods. She told herself she wanted to buy fresh fish and forget her pain, even if it was for a few minutes. She carried a small bunch of old Naira notes in her bra. It was all she had. She greeted one seller, then another. She tried to smile, but her hands shook. Her chest was tight. When it was time to pay, she reached into her blouse and froze. Her money was gone. Gone! She checked again and again. Nothing. Someone had stolen it, likely in the crowd. People stared. Two women near her whispered. One said, "Ehya, widow life is not easy." The other added, "Let her cry small, she will be fine." But no one helped. She stood there silent, broken. A strong breeze blew. The sky was changing. It was evening already, and she knew she wouldn't have enough strength to trek all the way home. She found a quiet stone at the far end of the riverbank and sat down, watching the water. Her eyes were dry. The tears were finished. Her back ached. Her legs were numb. She closed her eyes and slept. She woke up with a small shiver. It was already dark. The moon hung low and the night was quiet except for the soft ripple of the river. Then she saw her. A woman, tall, glowing, graceful, stood a few feet away, just beyond the rocks under the old bridge. Her dress shimmered like wet silk. Her hair flowed long and dark, and her skin sparkled under the moonlight. Sushi sat up quickly. For a moment she thought she was dreaming. "Thank God someone is still here," she whispered to herself. The woman looked too elegant, too clean for a place like this. Maybe she was a rich fish exporter or the wife of a port official. Sushi stood up slowly, embarrassed but desperate. "Good evening," she said, her voice quiet. "Please, can you help me with just small transport money? I was robbed, and I've been stranded here." The woman didn't seem surprised. She smiled gently and stepped closer. "Is that all you want?" she asked, her voice smooth like calm water. "How about fish you can sell?" Sushi blinked. "Fish?" she repeated. The woman pointed to the river. "What if I give you fish that no fly will ever touch? Fish that people will fight to buy? A table that never dries?" Sushi didn't speak. Her mouth was open. The woman's smile widened. She turned, walked over to a flat rock near the bridge, and bent down. From behind it, she lifted the biggest, shiniest fish Sushi had ever seen in her life. Then another. Then a third. The fish glittered like silver poured from the sky. Sushi took a step forward, almost trembling. "What is this?" she whispered. The woman looked at her calmly. "Say yes, and your life will never be the same again." She didn't know why she said yes. Maybe it was the hunger. Maybe it was the pain of having nothing left. Or maybe it was the way the woman looked at her, with eyes that didn't pity her, but saw something deeper. Sushi whispered, "Yes." And just like that, the woman smiled again. Soft, graceful, and almost too calm for someone in the dark by a river. She handed Sushi the 3 large silver fish. They were heavy but not slippery. They didn't even smell. "You will know what to do," the woman said. "Just don't forget this moment." Then she turned, walked back under the bridge, and vanished into the shadows. Sushi stood there for a long time, fish in hand, unsure of whether she was awake or dreaming. By sunrise, she reached home and placed the fish on a tray she used long ago. Her neighbor saw them and gasped, "Ha! Where did you get these from? They look like blessing fish." Sushi smiled faintly. She didn't explain. She took the fish to the market later that day. By noon, all 3 were sold for prices higher than she had ever imagined. It continued the next day, and the day after that. Each morning, more fish appeared near her kitchen door, already cleaned and glistening. She didn't tell anyone. At first, she worked hard, woke early, arranged the table, washed everything like old times. Something strange happened. Even on the days she felt too weak to prepare or cover the fish properly, they remained perfect, fresh, shining, and without a single fly. Other sellers noticed. Some accused her of buying government fish. Others said she had gone to a prophet, but she knew the truth, or at least part of it. In her heart, she told herself, maybe this is what favor feels like. Maybe God finally looked at me. She started getting used to the new life. Her pain was still there, but the fish distracted her. The crowd distracted her. The money distracted her. She bought a table, then a better tray, then a small weighing scale. Life was rising again, slowly but surely. But peace never stays for long. One morning she was in her backyard picking bitter leaves when she heard footsteps. Not from the front gate, from inside. She turned quickly and froze. The woman was standing beside her kitchen wall, the same woman from the river. Sushi's heart dropped. How did you find my house?" The woman smiled gently, the same calm in her voice. "You didn't tell me, but I know where you are." Sushi looked around. She had never seen the woman enter. No gate sound, no knock, no warning. She stepped back slowly. The woman raised one hand. "Don't be afraid. I only came to finish what we started." Sushi didn't move. The woman walked forward and sat on a small wooden bench near the back door, like she had visited many times before. Sit with me, she said softly. Sushi obeyed. There was a long silence, then the woman spoke. Nothing good comes free. Sushi looked down. You've been receiving fish, silverfish, fly-free, endless. You think it's just kindness? Sushi swallowed hard. You helped me. I was desperate. I did, the woman nodded. But now you must hear the full deal. Sushi's hands were shaking. The woman continued. From now on, no man must touch you. Not in desire, not in love, not in loneliness. Your body must belong to no one. Sushi stared. Why? Because power is pure, the woman said. The kind I gave you lives best in silence. The body carries weight. If you share it with a man, your gift will turn against you. Your flesh will melt like fire on nylon. Your skin will break apart. You will dissolve. Sushi was silent. She didn't know what to say. She thought of her husband, long gone. She thought of how men no longer noticed her, how some tried to talk, but she was too broken to answer. She looked at the woman. So, if I remain alone, I keep everything? The woman nodded. You will never lack fish. You will never worry about flies. People will fight to buy from you. You will never need to ask again. Sushi looked away. It was strange. Part of her wanted to say no. But another part, the part that had nothing left to lose, felt like this was the easiest yes in the world. She closed her eyes and whispered, I accept. The woman stood. Then keep your word, she said, and your gift will never run dry. Sushi opened her eyes. The woman was gone, again. No door creaked, no wind blew, just silence. That night, Sushi sat in her room for hours. She didn't feel afraid. She felt numb. A deal had been made. Not the kind people shout over in markets, not the kind that ends with a receipt. This one lived inside her now. She touched her chest. No more love, no more kisses, no more hands to hold her at night. But in return, she would survive. She would eat. She would live. I have nothing left to give anyway, she told herself. I only need peace, that's all. What she didn't know was that something better had still been waiting for her. Something that would arrive not with fish, but with a face. And one day, it would test everything she thought she buried. Weeks passed. Madam Sushi's name became something people whispered in the early hours of the market. They no longer called her Sushi the widow. Now they said Queen of Fish, or the one with river hands. Her fish was always perfect, silver like moonlight, no flies, no smell, no waste. Even when the weather was bad or the cold storage boys went on strike, Sushi's table was never empty. People came early. Some even waited before dawn just to be first in line. She still said little. She still avoided laughter. But she noticed she had become something of a mystery. Women came to greet her just to see how she arranged her tray. Men lingered longer than they needed to. Children stared in awe, and one man returned more than once. His name was Nello. He came on a Tuesday at first, bought only one fish. He came again on Thursday, bought two. By the following Saturday, he came with a plastic bag, smiling. Madam Sushi noticed him from afar. He stood straighter than most. Clean wares, calm voice, a small scar on his chin that made him look like someone who had survived something serious. He didn't shout like others. He didn't push to the front. But his eyes, searched her like someone who had seen her before in another life. Sushi tried not to look too long. She told herself he was just another customer, but her hands shook a little when she weighed his fish. Thank you, he said warmly. Your fish. It's different. It doesn't even feel like fish. It feels like treasure. She nodded once, silent. He looked at her, waiting for her to say something back. She didn't, so he left. But 2 days later, he came again. This time, he brought a gift, an old storybook wrapped in paper. He said he taught literature at the school and thought she might enjoy reading. She didn't collect it. He smiled and left it on the table. The next morning, she found herself flipping through the book in her room. The first story was about a woman who turned to stone after breaking a promise to the wind. Sushi shut the book quickly. She didn't like how close the story felt. At night, her dreams became heavy. She saw rivers that never ended, fish that spoke, skies that turned dark the moment laughter touched her lips. In one dream, she kissed someone, and her face started to peel. In another, she stood in the market naked while people pointed at her skin, which was melting like candle wax. She woke up sweating, her scarf half off, her heart racing. She went outside and sat near her kitchen wall, breathing deeply. And she whispered, "I haven't done anything wrong." The wind was still. She hadn't touched anyone. She hadn't said yes, but she knew her heart was shifting. Nilo returned again. This time, he didn't come for fish. He came when the market was already closing, when most sellers had packed up and were sweeping their stalls. Madam Sushi was folding her wrapper, ready to head home, when she saw him standing by the corner. No bag, no money in hand. "Good evening," he said gently. She nodded, tying her basket. "I hope I'm not disturbing," he said. She didn't answer. "I know you don't talk much, but I'm not here to sell or buy. I just wanted to see you." She turned slowly, her voice quiet but strong. "Why?" He looked surprised at first. Then he smiled. "Because there's something about you," he said. "You look like someone who carries more than fish, like someone who's still standing after everything tried to break her." Her hand froze on the basket handle. He stepped closer. "If that offends you, I'll leave, but sometimes I sit in my room and wonder what it would feel like to talk to you, to hear your laugh." Madam Sushi's eyes flickered. She hadn't laughed in 4 years. Not once, not even by mistake. He smiled again softly. "Sorry, maybe I'm talking too much." He turned and started to walk away. Sushi opened her mouth to call him back, but said nothing. She only watched, and inside her chest, something small and dangerous began to move. That night, the river punished her. In her dream, she stood barefoot in the market while all her fish turned black. The customers screamed, the ground cracked open beneath her, and from inside the earth, a hand reached up and dragged her toward the river's belly. She woke up gasping, her back soaked in sweat. A knock sounded, soft, rhythmic, real. She stood up, confused. She checked her phone. It was 2:47 a.m. Another knock. She rushed outside and froze. No one was there. But at her back door, on her wooden bench, sat a fresh fish, still silver, still perfect, and beside it, a small piece of red cloth. She knew what it meant. The woman had been there. She was watching. The next day, Madam Sushi came to market early. She didn't speak. She didn't smile. But when Nello came, she didn't look at him at all. He waited. She ignored him. He finally placed a note beside her tray and left. She didn't open it. The market, at home. But by evening, she sat at her table, unfolded it, and read the 4 lines written in careful handwriting. "You may have made peace with silence, but silence doesn't mean joy, and sometimes the people who smile at you are just hoping you smile back." She held the note for a long time. Then she burned it, but the words stayed. For 3 days, Madam Sushi avoided the river. She stopped washing her trays near the back stream. She stopped walking through the market shortcut that passed by the fisherman's pier. Even when it rained and her yard flooded, she didn't step barefoot on wet ground. Something inside her had shifted again. The silver fish still came. The sales were still strong. The flies still stayed far. But the dreams were louder now. She saw the woman more often. Not speaking, just watching her from a distance with eyes that no longer smiled. That week, Nello returned to the market. He didn't speak the first time. Just waved. The second day, he brought oranges. "I peeled them for you," he said, holding the small bowl like a peace offering. Sushi blinked, unsure. "For vitamin C," he added with a shrug. "You don't look like someone who eats enough fruit." She took it with one hand, eyes still blank. But when she went home that night, she ate every piece. He came again 2 days later, holding a broom and a small black bucket. "What's that for?" she asked before she could stop herself. He grinned. "Your stall is too clean. I want to spoil it." Her lips fought the tiniest smile. She lost. "I don't talk much," she said quietly. "That's all right," he replied. "I talk too much for both of us." She looked away, but this time her heart didn't feel heavy. It felt full. One morning he stayed after her last sale. They sat near her stall where the other sellers were already gossiping and sweeping. He pulled out a folded paper from his pocket. "What's that?" "My students wrote you poems." Sushi raised a brow. I told them about a woman whose fish never dies, and they said that's more romantic than most love stories. She chuckled, a real sound, soft, dry, but real. I hope you told them I'm not magical, she said. I told them you're a queen. Same thing, he said casually. Her hand paused on the edge of her tray. He looked down and whispered, "You've been through a lot, haven't you?" She didn't answer, but she didn't pull away when his fingers gently touched her wrist. Just a second. Then she stood and packed her basket. I'll see you next market day, she said quietly. He smiled. You're already looking forward to it. She looked over her shoulder. Maybe. But that night the dream was worse. She stood in her compound. Her fish trays were melting. The walls of her house bent like rubber. And the woman, the same glowing woman from the river, sat in her kitchen with a spoon in her hand, eating pieces of Sushi's own heart. Sushi woke up crying. She ran to the back door. A small bowl sat there, filled with clean water and blood. No wind, no footsteps. Only the woman's voice in her mind. Your body is still yours, but your soul belongs here. Don't forget. For 2 days, she ignored Nello. When he came, she said she was busy. When he waved, she didn't wave back. When he asked if she was all right, she said, I'm not in the mood. He didn't push. But on the 3rd day, he waited until everyone had gone and stood beside her while she folded her nylon bags. I must have done something wrong, he said gently. She didn't look at him. I'm sorry if I crossed a line, He paused. I just liked seeing you softer, even if it's just a little. She finally looked at him. Her face wasn't angry, just tired. There's a part of me you can't know, she said quietly. Nello nodded. I think we all have that part, but maybe it's okay to let someone sit near it. Not inside it, just near. She didn't reply, but she didn't walk away either. The next day he came with jollof rice in a takeaway pack. I cooked it, he said proudly. She opened it, smelled it, and blinked. Are you sure? He laughed. Okay. My sister helped, but I stirred the pot. Sushi smiled again, slow, shy. He sat beside her on a short stool. You know what I think? He said. What? I think you're not afraid of people. I think you're afraid of joy. She was quiet. Then she whispered, Joy doesn't stay. He looked at her for a long time. Then he said, maybe it doesn't, but some people still build chairs for it, just in case it visits again. She bit her lip. Then, surprisingly, she said, that's a nice line. He leaned back with a proud grin. I write sometimes, but only when I'm trying to impress mysterious fish women. She shook her head, laughing silently. It was dangerous. She knew it, but she also knew her heart was changing shape again. That night, no dream came. Only a voice. Not loud, just a whisper. You are forgetting the price. The morning it happened, everything felt too quiet. Madam Sushi had slept well, better than usual. No dreams, no strange voices, no bowls of water waiting by her door, just silence. And yet, that silence felt wrong. The fish still came. Silver. Heavy, untouched by flies. The crowd still gathered, the market still sang with morning voices. But inside her, something was off. Like something watching her had turned away for just a moment. That week, Nello became bolder. He waited after every sale. He helped her pack. He made her laugh with silly market jokes and stories about students who wrote love poems to mango trees. One evening as they walked past the back of the yam section, he suddenly stopped. Do you ever wonder, he asked, what would have happened if we met sooner? She didn't reply, but she looked at him long enough for him to take her hand. He didn't rush, he didn't pull, just held it, gently. Sushi stared at their hands and her heart didn't scream. For the first time in years, it was quiet. Not the kind of quiet that warns, the kind that feels like home. She let him walk her home that day. Not all the way, just to the bend near her street, but it was enough. That night she stood in front of her mirror, brushing her hair slowly. She hadn't noticed how full her cheeks looked lately, how steady her breathing had become, how less often she sat outside counting ghosts. Then she remembered the warning, your body must belong to no man. If you give it, your skin will betray you. She touched her collarbone. She hadn't crossed the line, not yet, just smiles, just fingers brushing. The penetration wasn't deep, I'll stop now, she told herself. Just this much. Just a taste of joy. That's all. She slept peacefully. Too peacefully. The next morning, the sky was gray. Not rainy, not cloudy. Just wrong. The market crowd was restless. Babies cried louder than normal. Chickens refused to be caught. Sellers kept spilling their pepper. Madam Sushi set her fish as usual. The customers came, but one woman stopped and frowned. Madam, your hand. Sushi looked down. A small patch on her wrist had changed. The skin looked pale, soft, like wet paper. She rubbed it quickly. It stayed. Another customer pointed. Your neck. Are you okay? Sushi touched her throat. Another patch. Cold, thin, weak. Her heart jumped. She excused herself. Ran to the back of the stalls, pulled out a mirror. The side of her face was cracking, not like cuts, like peeling. She gasped. She dropped the mirror, and she knew. Something had shifted. Something had woken. She rushed home, tried to scrub her skin with water. Salt, oil, nothing worked. Her chest was peeling now. Not blood, not bone, just fading, disappearing, like salt in a rainstorm. She cried out, I didn't do anything. I didn't sleep with him. But the river doesn't count smiles. It counts desire. Nello knocked minutes later. He had heard the news. Market women were already whispering about her disappearing skin. Sushi, he called. Please open. She didn't answer. He pushed the door. It wasn't locked. He found her on the floor, wrapped in a wrapper, face turned to the wall. Sushi. He dropped beside her. She didn't turn. I think I'm dying, she whispered. No, he said, voice shaking. We'll go to the hospital. We'll pray. We'll do anything. It's not that kind of sickness, she said. Her voice was hollow. Then slowly she turned to him. He gasped. Her cheek was almost gone. The soft brown skin had thinned into a pale shimmer. Beneath it was nothing. I broke a deal, she said. Nello blinked. What deal? She laughed, but it was a sound without joy. You wouldn't understand. Try me. So she told him everything. The river, the woman, the fish, the price, and the curse. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I still want to hold your hand. She shook her head. You can't. If you touch me now, I might dissolve in your arms. Tears filled his eyes. Then let me sit close. Let me watch you stay. But even as he said it, her fingers were already fading. Her legs no longer felt the floor. And in her chest, her heart beat slower, slower. Outside, a wind rose, strong, wet, river-scented. Gathered. They said the air near her compound turned heavy, that birds refused to land, that all the flies in the village gathered on other fish stalls, except hers. And then, she was gone. No scream, no flash, just a ripple of cold, a silence too deep, and an empty house that smelled faintly of river stones. Nello never returned to the market, but every Saturday he left a fish beside her old table. He didn't speak, he didn't explain, he just remembered. And the market women? They still talk. They say, if only we knew why she didn't have flies on her fish. But the truth lives under the river, in the mouth of a woman with eyes like mirrors and a smile that never reaches her heart.